So hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. I am Surbi and this is Perspective 360 Degree, your one-stop solution for current affairs, descriptive writing and answer writing evaluation. So if you're watching this video, then let me just inform you, this is a recorded session, recorded premiere session. So I will not be able to take your live doubts as in case of other videos we have been conducting before. From the next video onwards, we'll be taking live sessions again. But for now, if you have any additions or any doubts, then you can definitely post them in the chat section, but I will not be able to respond to them immediately. But after the video is premiered, then I'll definitely respond to them and address them. Okay. So the topic for today is payments banks. Paytm Payment Bank has been in news, and hence as part of our important current affairs, which Perspective 360 Degree covers, this topic becomes very, very important. So are there more advantages of payments banks or more problems, and are these problems growing with time? Also, if you're somebody who's joining me for the first time on Perspective 360 Degree, then let me just inform you that this initiative is meant for those aspirants who are preparing for regulatory bodies examination descriptive paper. Like if you are somebody who wants to be well prepared for the descriptive paper, that is phase 2 of examination beforehand, then this initiative is for you. We discussed one question and answer whenever we go live, that is on Monday, Wednesday and Fridays, and that is from descriptive answer point of view, descriptive writing point of view. Meanwhile, I also give you some tips and some more value addition points that can fetch you more marks in your answers, so that you make it to the final list and success can be yours. Also, the beautiful part about this initiative is that you can post your answers in the YouTube comment section under this video in the next 48 hours, and our team will evaluate it free of cost and provide you with a comprehensive feedback. So first of all, let's look at what has been in news. So RBI crackdown on Paytm Payments Banks, the inside story. So as we all know that RBI actually cracked down on Paytm Payments Bank. Then RBI on clampdown against Paytm Payment Bank, persistent non-compliance, Paytm Payments Bank meltdown, its meaning, explain everything. So, all the newspapers have been covering news regarding Paytm Payments Bank, and though we will not delve a lot into the issue of this, Kritika ma'am must have told you a lot about what is Paytm, what are payments bank, payments banks. Here we'll be talking about what question can be asked from this portion of examination. Hardly any room for review of action taken against Paytm Payments Bank. RBI Governor Shaktikant Das has said that. So, let's look at the relevance of this topic from RBI Grade B perspective. In the paper 1 of your syllabus, that is economic and social issues, there is a topic called role of Indian banks and Reserve Bank in the development process. The second topic that you have is from general finance and management under the syllabus paper 3, financial system. You have structure and functions of financial institutions, role of information technology in banking and finance, very much related to payment banks, and non-banking system and developments in digital payments, for what your payments bank rely upon or depend upon. For NABARD Grade A, there is just one topic that holds relevance here, that is development of banking and financial institutions in India, or reforms in banking and financial sector. For SEBI Grade A, this is the topic, that is role and functions of regulatory bodies in financial sector, and this general topics, all the general topics will be relevant, whether it's financial inclusion, use of technology, that is also where your payment banks are involved. And obviously for English writing skills, for all these 3 exams, this topic holds relevance. Now, what can be the expected question from here? And I here have a request for all of you, that I don't want you to delve into the controversy a lot, controversy or whatever charges have been laid against the Paytm Payments Banks. You will see a lot of editorials coming from entrepreneurs which say that RBI has taken wrong move, that's a wrong action, that does not support entrepreneurship in the country, and how eagerly we want to leave this country because entrepreneurship culture is not there, the government doesn't support us. On the other hand, you must be reading a lot of editorials from the RBI side, or people who are talking in favor of RBI's actions. At the end of the day, you have to take a side with RBI because you're appearing for that exam to be a part of government, whether it's through RBI, NABARD, SEBI, or any other exam. The second thing I want you to focus here upon is that in the descriptive paper, controversies will not be asked. You will not be asked that why or what were the charges laid against Paytm Payments Banks, what you will be asked is a question like this. So what do payment banks entail and what is their importance? So what obstacles do they encounter in their operational processes? That means what are the challenges that they encounter in their operational processes that, forces them to resort to other practices to make profits, or to not even comply with norms sometimes. So we'll cover all of these. This question is for 600 words. You have to answer this for 15 marks, and I always request you to follow the answer blueprint. This is developed by EduTap experts. Your answer should be divided into 3 parts: introduction, main body, and conclusion. Your main body here can have various headings and subheadings depending upon how many questions are asked in the answer. So now if you look at the keywords in this question, the first keyword is payment bank and the second keyword is importance. The third keyword is obstacles and operational processes. So you have like 4 or 5 keywords in this question. And if you read this question twice or thrice, you should be able to understand that first of all, you have to talk about what payment banks are. So overview of payment banks, we'll utilize our introduction to give an overview of that. What are the acts under which payment banks are regulated? What are the committees or what is the committee that led to the formation of payment banks? That's very important. And what is their working capital like? What is the minimum capital that they need to have? And basic details regarding operations of payment banks, they need to be explained. So we will have one paragraph of introduction, one paragraph of body part 1. These will be very, very short and they will give all the basic information regarding payment banks, which you should be aware of for your objective portion of the syllabus as well. The second thing that we are focusing here is on the importance of payment banks that has been asked in first part of the answer. So the third thing that we focus on is the challenges, and that is the second part of the answer, and then we'll end with the way forward. So let's begin. Let's start by writing an introduction. What payment banks are? Are they like any other banks? So first of all, I would tell you that, when this present government came to power back in 2014, then they had a second term because they won elections for the second time. Their main objective was to promote financial inclusion in the country. And they also launched this Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, where bank accounts were created for the underserved and underserved sections of population. And one of the steps that was taken for financial inclusion was the formation of payment banks. And there was a Nachiket More committee that was formed by RBI and the government. And hence, that committee recommended that there should be a new type of banks called the payment banks. They should not give any loans or they should not give credit cards to people. But what they can do is improve access to banking services for various sections of society. For example, if in your street where your house is located, if you have on the corner there is a shop, and if you can go to that shop and deposit like 1 lakh rupees there and get a high interest rate on those 1 lakh rupees, then obviously that's easier for you to go to a nearby shop and get your savings done as compared to opening a bank account, for which earlier you had to go to the bank and things like that. Slowly, with the passage of time, payment banks, they launched their own apps, just like Paytm or any other payment banks that you, Aditya Birla Payment Bank, Airtel Payment Bank. So they launched their own apps and they started giving out more and more services. You can you can create an FD there, you can save money there, you can carry out transactions. For example, payments for FASTags can be done. UPI feature was also introduced in with their apps. So more financial inclusion occurred and improvement in digital payments was seen. So first of all, just mention in the answer, these are the examples of some of the payment banks: Paytm, Airtel, India Post Payment Bank, that was one of the first payment banks of the country. And also, many of these payment banks, they were not making profits, so they also gave up on their license. They shut their operations. We will delve into all these things. But first of all, you should know that what are the conditions under which a payment bank is formed, what was the objective of the government, and things like that. So payment bank is a bank which operates on a smaller scale without involving any credit risk. First of all, it is not like a regular bank. It operates on a smaller scale and credit risk is not there. Why credit risk is not there? Because they're not giving any loans. So no chances of NPAs, no chances of bad loans. Hence credit risk is not there. Also, they're not giving any credit cards. Then it is set up on based on the recommendations of Nachiket More Committee of 2013. Is this important for you? Very, very important. Kindly remember the name of this committee. And the objective, as I told you, is to promote financial inclusion in the country by offering banking and financial services to the unbanked and underbanked areas, especially tier 2, tier 3 cities where access to banking services was not as high as it is right now because of the upcoming of digital payments and the improvement in digital infrastructure. Still, we are struggling with more financial inclusion in our country, and payment banks are the way forward for our nation. So, they are not registered as banks, unlike unlike other regular banks or scheduled commercial banks. They are instead registered as public limited company under Companies Act of 2013 1, and the license to carry out some of the banking services, which I told you that they can accept deposit but they cannot give loans. That license is given under Banking Regulation Act 1949. If you can remember the section, it's section 22. So kindly mention that in your answer. So there are a lot of legislations that are involved in governing this type of payment banks. The Banking Regulation Act, RBI Act, FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act, they cannot take NRI deposits. Kindly remember that. So you can choose to ignore this line while you're writing your introduction. That's up to you. In the next thing, we want to highlight the objectives a little bit more. The objective of setting up payment banks has been to further financial inclusion by providing one, small saving accounts, and second, remittance services or payment services to migrants, because migrants, they do not have access to banking services in the state that they're migrating. And here, when payment banks were formed, I'm not talking about the year 2024, I'm talking about the year 2014, 2015, where banking services were not there. Banks were grappling with NPAs, and if you had to migrate to some other city or state, you had to look for an ATM to be able to take out or to be able to have access to cash from your bank account. Nowadays we don't look for ATMs at all, or not as much as we were doing 5-10 years ago. But during those times, there was a banking model needed. There was a creative model needed that would enhance financial inclusion, that would make it easier for people who are migrating from one part of the country to another to have access to cash, to have access to money or credit. So it was, first of all, small saving accounts, they can be formed. The limit that was kept initially for savings in a payment bank was 1 lakh rupees. And secondly, the objective was to provide payments or remittance services to migrant labor, workforce, low-income households, small businesses, other unorganized sector entities, and other users. So, let's say you are the entity who wants to open a payment bank. First of all, there should be 100 crore working capital that should be there, and there are some conditions by the government, but it will be so good for you if you can have your own payment bank. People will deposit money with you, and then you can use that money, you can circulate in the market or invest in government securities, and you can multiply that money for yourself, not just for yourself, but the people who are investing in your payment bank, who are saving in your payment bank. So yes, it was actually thought of that when the idea of payment banks comes in, then there will be a mushrooming of payment banks all over the country, and even middle class people or poor people, they will be able to not just save but open their own payment banks. But that has not seen the day of light. We see that only rich people or people who are big time capitalists, they are involved in creation of payment banks and hence their functioning. So this is where one of the challenges arises, and that has to be looked further. But before that, we'll have to explain this topic a little bit further. So first of all, they're differentiated and not universal banks. Kindly mention these. I'm giving you 10 points here which you can use to explain this topic further in your answer, and you can choose to add or ignore any one of them. Secondly, as I told you, they operate on a very small scale. They cannot take like infinite deposits of people. The third one is minimum paid up equity capital for payment banks should be rupees 100 crores. And that's where, the middle class is not able to open up their own payment banks. What middle class is actually doing is having their own savings rather than becoming entrepreneurs and launching their own banks. And they can take deposits up to 2 lakh rupees. Initially, when they were formed, they could take deposits only up to 1 lakh rupees. And demand deposits can be taken in the form of savings and current accounts both. Now the problem here is of profitability. 75% of the money received as deposits can be invested in government securities only. The money that you're getting, if you are the owner of a payment bank, you have to invest it in government securities only. So you cannot go to the share market, invest in mutual funds, because risks factors are there in it's people's money, you can't lose it. in case the market falls down. So government securities, and that too in the form of SLR. So this must amount to 75% of demand deposit balance. And the remaining 25% is to be placed at time deposits with other scheduled commercial banks. So if other scheduled commercial banks, they could give you a high rate of interest, or what else could be done? These banks could be investing in mutual funds. These banks could be investing in their own funds. So the, profitability window, that is very, very less. Government securities also, they're not as profitable as could be other investment projects or other investments in the market. So it can offer remittance services, or as I told you, mobile payments, transfer, purchases. Just imagine Paytm in your mind. Paytm offers shopping also. It offers recharge on FASTags, UPI services. So other banking services like ATM, debit cards, net banking, and third-party fund transfer, everything is allowed. So it can also become a banking correspondent for a leading bank, for some other bank to provide some other services. So but it cannot issue loans or credit cards, or cannot accept time deposits or NRI deposits, and it can also not set subsidiaries or undertake non-banking financial activities. So no independence in terms of profitability, in terms of expansion, but a lot of regulation, a lot of restriction. And because the idea of payment banks is not to convert them into full-fledged banking entities, or to convert them into, like, let's say, non-banking financial companies. That's not the idea. The idea is to promote financial inclusion in the country, to provide ease of digital payments for people, and to have some small saving, some benefits when they want to carry out small savings. That's very much approachable. They don't have to go to a bank. So now, what is the importance? We'll be starting by focusing on promotion of financial inclusion, then expanded geographical reach. First of all, let's look at financial inclusion. This point should be very easy for you to, give out there, because I've told you that these banks have promoted financial inclusion by catering to financial services. That was the idea for migrant laborers, low-income households, and small-scale entrepreneurs. The second one here is expanded geographical reach. Wherever your banks cannot reach, people still have this app of Paytm or any other payment banks. They do have those apps, or these payment banks, they're serving as booths in many parts of the country where other banks are not there. So they have wider geographical reach due to its technology-oriented services. You can include them as part of fintech, financial technology. We've covered a separate lecture on that in Perspective 360. So you can call them as the new age fintech banks as well, the new age banks using fintech. Unlike traditional banks whose geographical outreach is constrained by the requirements of physical infrastructure. Then zero balance accounts can be created, no minimum balance accounts can be created, which is not the case with many leading banks in the country as of now. And there are no hidden charges with these banks. So people find it more secure, more safe, especially the people, let's say students who are not earning, let's say rural households which do not have a lot of income, or people who are just starting to enter the workforce, who do not have a lot of running capital. It's very easy for them to invest or to have an account in a payment bank as compared to a normal bank, because in a normal bank you have to have minimum balance. Then it complements the financial efforts of traditional banks, that goes without saying. By partnering to sell mutual funds, pension products, and insurance products through their platforms. For example, SBI life insurance product is being sold through the Paytm platform. Like from March, we do not know what is going to be the future of Paytm, but many banks do sell their financial products through Paytm Bank's platforms as well. That expands the outreach of the products given by normal banks or the scheduled commercial banks. Then low value, high volume transactions. Like, I'm not sure if you have a bank account, let's say with the SBI. I'm not sure if you are using the SBI Yono app, but I'm sure that you're definitely using an app that can provide you with services of UPI transactions, mostly Paytm, or it can help you with FASTag recharges. So low value but high volume transactions are there. That also promotes a lot of inclusion in the country. So they've provided effective infrastructure to deal with low value, high volume transactions. Even if you go to a street hawker, somebody selling fruits, vegetables, you would see that there is a UPI code is there, UPI, and you can scan on it, and Paytm is written there, that Paytm has provided this, overall, this universal code for all the hawkers, and you will see that, it is licensed by Paytm. You can just scan on it and make the payment. So increase in, I think, white payment, what would you say, more transparency in payments, that has also occurred. And use of Paytm QR codes by vegetable vendors to grocery shop owners, that has increased. The financial inclusion on one hand, and there are high volume transactions. You don't have to look for a balance, you don't have to look for cash. So this all these exchanges have been very, very faster. Then there is higher rate of interest, like most banks offer you at most like 7.10% interest rate if you open an FD for 15 to 18 months, if you create a fixed deposit. But with payment banks, the interest rates are very, very high. The only downside is that you can you can like save up to a maximum limit of 1 lakh or 2 lakh rupees, depending upon which one are you operating. So the rates of interest being offered by these banks is higher in comparison to the traditional banks. Example, for payment bank, it is generally around 7%, while for commercial banks, it is somewhere between 3.5 to 6%. And also, they do not charge you anything. There are no penalties if you dissolve or if you liquidate your savings, for example, a fixed deposit. So importances have been studied. Let's look at what are the challenges. If you know such good things are being talked about and the motive of the government was so good, then what are the challenges associated that these banks are not able to flourish at a level that they should have? And secondly, why do issues like the recent Paytm payment banks, why these issues are emerging, or can these issues emerge further as well? So first of all, there are low avenues of profitability. Let's talk at the structural issues when it comes to operating a payment bank, and then we'll move further. So first of all, as I told you, profit is very, very less because they're not allowed to give loans, and they cannot earn interest because of the loans that they're giving. They have to put there are SLR, statutory liquidity ratio, up to 75%, and that has to be invested in government securities. Government securities, first of all, they're time bound. Second, they do not give as high returns as would have any other saving instrument that would have given them, or investment instrument would have given them, because of them being time bound. Because government securities, you have to maintain them for a long period as compared to other investment instruments. So they have impinged on the avenues of profitability of these banks. The second is low return on equity. So the cap on the amount of demand deposits at rupees 2 lakh and the 15% capital to risk weighted asset ratio has severely impacted the returns on equities of payment banks in India. The return on equity is less than 5%. So, there is an upper cap on how much can be deposited, and because of this upper cap, they're not able to make profits as would have been the case. Let's say the upper cap was 10 lakh rupees, then more people would have been giving them more money or depositing more money, which could be circulated in the market or circulated as government securities. So everything is basically restricted on the consumer side also, on the operator side also, and on top from the regulator side also. Hence it becomes very constrained for them to operate on a large scale. The only method that they have to operate on a large scale is to reach more and more consumers, so that more money can be invested in their on their platforms, and hence they can circulate it in government securities and other instruments that they're allowed to do. So then there is digital divide and slow internet connectivity, which hampers their penetration also, especially in rural areas. Fourthly, a large number of dormant accounts are there. For example, for Paytm, there are 31 crore, there are a total of 35 crore accounts with Paytm, but 31 crore they remain dormant or were misused. And RBI has also said that many payment banks, their banks are accounts are used for money laundering purposes, from moving money from one unethical source to multiple ethical sources, so that it does not catch the eye of regulators that this is bad money, this is black money, and to keep it away from the eyes of regulators. So large number of dormant accounts. Now you might feel that, oh, okay, I created an account with Paytm, but I'm not using it because instead I'm using other services. I'm using my own bank's app, but your dormant account also gets counted as being dormant by RBI, and that also results into improper functioning of a payment bank. So the next one is cutthroat competition, because there is not just one, there are other payment banks as well. Also, when these banks were created, UPI transactions were not popular. Banks like HDFC, SBI, or any other banks having their own services for UPI or for net banking. Net banking was not that much popular as it is now. It is, whenever you open a bank account now, they provide you with net banking services. previously you had to apply separately. So now they face their major advantage was digital services or use of technology in providing exchanges, in providing financial services. Now that major advantage, that is seeing a competition from other UPI apps, from other private apps which deal in your credit card services, with other banks which are providing such services. These banks are facing cutthroat competition from the payment wallets like PhonePe, BharatPe, and conventional commercial payment banks like services like SBI, Yono, ICICI, MobilePay, etc. Then increasing number of defund payment banks because they are not able to make profits. Hence, many of them are actually shutting. This is a news from 2019, and that was the time when payment banks were becoming popular. So why 5 out of 11 payment banks have shut shop? You can go to the Hindu Business Line and find out this article and read this out. That because of profitability issues and because of so many restrictions and regulations, these banks have actually been shutting down. So the over-regulated functioning and huge losses have led to increase in the number of banks surrendering their licenses and halting their operations. There are some examples here: Cholamandalam Distribution Services, Sun Pharmaceuticals, Tech Mahindra, Aditya Birla Payment Banks. They have surrendered their licenses. So these are the 6 major challenges involved with them. If you can figure out any new challenge, which you might have read in some editorials, then kindly let me know in the comment section and do add that in your answer also. I read all your comments, I go through all of them. So whatever topics you mentioned that ma'am, please entertain this topic for the next discussion, or can this addition be made, I do reply to them. So kindly keep the comment section open for posting any updates that you feel like you should be making to the present topic or to the discussions in future. Now, what can be the way forward? First of all, we need regulations which are timely, because we do not want a case like the Paytm payment bank again. So regulations are required, but at least there how many deposits can they take, how much deposits can they take, that should also increase, that window should be increased, because India has seen a lot of inflation since the time since, like, let's say 2018. After that we have like grappled with inflation like anything. So 1 lakh rupees, which was the case, or 1 lakh rupees limit, which was, let's say, in 2015, then it was increased to 2 lakh rupees. That is not as much money as it used to be before. So that is because of inflation, the value of rupees has also gone down, the value of rupee has gone down. Hence they need more money for increasing their profitability. So regulations or regulators should keep that in mind. The first thing is measures to facilitate infrastructure sharing amongst traditional banks and Paytm Bank. For example, a payment bank desk in traditional bank branches, if they are formed, just like a payment bank can provide services of SBI life insurance. Similarly, SBI bank branches can also have one of the desk for a separate payment bank, which provides like really creative services, high rate of interest till a certain amount, obviously up to 2 lakh, let's say, or even if it is increased, let's say up to 5 lakh. But it will this is a problem also, because then there is a competition between banking, traditional banking, and payment banks as well. But this can be looked upon, that facilitation of infrastructure has to be there if we want these payment banks to be profitable, if we want these entrepreneurs to make money, and if we want these payment banks to stay for a long period of time. So the interconnectivity in rural areas, that has to be dealt with. And also we need to promote people from middle class and the other underserved sections of society to start their own payment banks, and that has to be worked out by the government to have their own creative models. Then increase the scope of operations to be, that means the 75% that they have to invest in government securities, which are time bound, not very profitable. They should be allowed to invest in other places as well, for example mutual funds, insurance products, to enhance their source of revenue generation and profitability. And the compliance of eKYC and no-frill accounts, which has been the question in case of Paytm, it must be regular to prevent future crises like the Paytm one. And there is this Anand Sinha committee that was formed to ring fence banking operations of the payment bank from the ownership structure. That means it's not just the owners who benefit out of operating payment banks. So banking operations and how a payment bank operates. For example, if a payment bank is not making profits, then this committee recommended that how to secure people's deposits if the payment bank wants to shut down or give up on its license, and how to make sure that people are not losing out on their money, because in case of scheduled commercial banks, your money is insured up to 5 lakh rupees by DICGC. But in case of payment banks, this committee has ensured, it has given a platform that how to take care of such risks, and these recommendations, they can be implemented. You don't have to get into the recommendations because here we are just providing a way forward, but as part of your static discussion or static syllabus, you can definitely read this topic more in detail from the course if you are a paid course student. Also refer to Kritika ma'am's lectures for more understanding on the payment banks and Paytm payment bank case that has been recently going on. This is a question on display again. Kindly post your answers in the comment section in the next 48 hours to get free evaluation. Thank you for joining in. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't done it yet. Do let me know in the comment section if Perspective 360 degree is helping you with your preparation. And I'll see you on Friday at 5 p.m. Before that, post your answers and we'll provide you with a great comprehensive evaluation. Take care and I'll see you on Friday.